From the time I started kindergarten, I wanted to be a teacher. As a child, playing school was my favorite game, and I was always the teacher. I taught my younger brother, my neighborhood friends, and my dolls. I even taught imaginary students. As children, we often dream of what we will do, be, and have when we grow up. Do you remember your childhood dreams? I pursued my dreams with unwavering determination. I started the summer after 11th grade. I worked for a summer school program tutoring 4th grade students. I loved the experience, and it solidified my passion for teaching. I later earned a bachelor's and master's degree in education, followed by more than a decade of teaching. My identity, who I was at my core, was intrinsically tied to being an educator, and I thought I would teach forever. Yet, there came a moment when I dreaded going to work. That passion for teaching was evaporating, and I knew something had to change. The first time I recalled hearing the term burnout was from a coworker who was new to my school, but not new to teaching. She had taken the previous year off work because of burnout. I asked, "What is burnout, and how did you know you had it?" She stated there were times of uncontrollable crying and nights when she could not sleep. Although I hadn't experienced times of crying or sleepless nights, there were those days preparing for work with a sense of dread that extended beyond the Monday morning blues. I soon realized where I was spending most days of my life was no longer where I wanted to be. A 2022 survey from Gallup found that K-12 education had the highest burnout of any industry, significantly higher than healthcare, which historically had been viewed as highly stressful and prone to burnout. While fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic may have been the breaking point for some educators, research regarding teacher burnout predates that pandemic. Burnout is not just ordinary stress. It's a chronic state of physical and emotional exhaustion, often accompanied by feelings of cynicism and detachment from one's job. The World Health Organization refers to burnout as an occupational phenomenon that should not be applied to describe experiences in other areas of life. Teacher burnout, like burnout experienced in other occupations, is often linked to several causes. Some causes may include the following. First, lack of control over the terms and conditions of employment. Many teachers have no control over their work schedules, including when to take breaks or eat lunch. Where to work, what grade level or subject to teach may not be within the teacher's control. I've worked with teachers who were frustrated to the point of tears when required to transfer to another grade level or a different school without any input regarding the decision. Lack of control over the terms and conditions of employment may lead to burnout. Additionally, teachers sometimes face unrealistic expectations. Many teachers are required to teach and test all students assigned to their classes each year, regardless of a child's readiness to learn. Some students have issues that interfere with learning. Getting help for these students takes time, and the needed help may never come. The responsibility of teaching and testing students who are not prepared to learn is heartbreaking and is one example of an unrealistic expectation that may lead to burnout. Teachers are also required to teach while keeping children safe. One year, a kindergarten student at my school was physically abusive to her teacher and her classmates. In addition to hitting, she threw books and other objects across the classroom, creating an extremely disruptive and dangerous environment. I witnessed this teacher's physical and emotional exhaustion. At the end of the day, as she recounted the unbelievable actions of this 5-year-old child. Although this was the first time I'd recall seeing a child that young and that aggressive, it wasn't the last. In addition to preparing lesson plans, attending meetings, and completing various reports, teachers have two main responsibilities: to teach and keep children safe, usually at the same time. This can be exhausting and may lead to burnout. If ignored, burnout may lead to heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and vulnerability to various illnesses. Additionally, when teachers are burnt out, the quality of education suffers. Burnout often leads to frequent teacher absences and high teacher turnover rates, which also disrupts the learning environment, making it difficult for students to form stable and nurturing relationships with their educators. How can we proactively address job-related stress to prevent it from evolving into burnout? We must first recognize that burnout doesn't happen abruptly. We don't wake up one morning and suddenly have burnout. According to psychologists, its nature is much more insidious, creeping up on us over time like a slow leak, which makes it difficult to recognize. However, recognizing those early signs may prevent the devastating effects of burnout. Early signs may include difficulty starting the workday, frequent irritability, and physical complaints such as headaches, stomach problems, or a change in sleep habits. Using food, drugs, or alcohol to feel better or simply not feel may be an indication of burnout that should not be ignored. The good news is that preventing burnout is possible. Teachers must recognize those early signs and utilize the services of an employee assistance program, healthcare provider, or community resources. For some educators, a career change may be the best option. There are several employment opportunities that align with the teacher's training and experience. Examples include administrative positions or resource teachers for various programs within a school district. Teachers can also use their skills for employment opportunities outside of a school system. An instructional designer, corporate trainer, or trainer for corporate trainers are just a few of many employment opportunities that require teaching skills. Teachers have those skills, and teachers know how to teach. In retrospect, I believe burnout was creeping up on me. One afternoon, I had a brief conversation with the head custodian at my school who was scheduled to retire at the end of the year. After I congratulated him on his upcoming retirement, he asked, "How many more years do you have to work before you retire?" After I advised him that I had not yet considered retirement, I began to quietly calculate in my mind. Based on my calculations, it would be approximately 30 more years before I could retire. For the first time since entering the teaching profession, I considered a career change. While researching potential career opportunities, I was summoned to jury duty and selected to serve as a juror on a DUI trial. During the trial, I began to notice that the communication and presentation skills used by those attorneys were somewhat similar to the skills I developed as a teacher. And I began to wonder if it was feasible for me to transition to an entirely different career. I later researched the requirements of entering the legal profession and applied to law school. Once accepted, I walked away from the career I previously thought would last a lifetime. Transitioning from teaching to the legal profession was a transformative journey. It provided an opportunity for me to leverage existing skills while developing new ones, first as an attorney and later as a judge. As a former teacher, I understand the profound impact teaching has on the lives of students and their educators. I'm also aware of the challenges that accompany burnout, regardless of one's occupation. Recognizing the early signs of burnout and getting help when needed is crucial. But if you come to a crossroad in life where a career change is your best option, go for it. You may uncover a wealth of untapped potential and new opportunities just waiting for you to discover. Thank you.